All right, let's do some core work today. So I love using my half roller for core work because I don't have to work too hard to keep myself balanced on the roller because it's flat on the bottom. Of course, you can use your round roller too from the melt method. Either roller is going to give you that proprioception that we're after, this ability to feel where the spine is on the roller. And that's kind of the key difference, I think, from doing exercises on the mat versus exercises on the roller. So I'm going to do just a quick assessment because it's super important when I'm doing my core work to understand that my spine needs to be in its most neutral position. I'm not adding any extension or rotation to our exercises until I feel confident that everybody has their best neutral established. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to swap the position of my camera. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to have you start with a simple assessment. Coming into our rest assess position. Okay. Palms are turned up towards the ceiling, giving myself permission to take a moment to feel my body on the floor, looking for those masses and spaces, and starting with my shoulder blades. So ideally the shoulder blades feel wide and flat on the floor. And if you notice that they feel a little pokey, maybe one of them or both, then you have a little stuck stress in the tissue that surrounds the shoulder blades. So we want to get in there and send some fresh fluid into that tissue to give your body a sense of neutral and let go of that stuck stress. From here, I take a finger, poke it into my belly button, draw a line straight through my body towards the floor, and I'm looking for that touch of the bottom of my rib cage on the floor. And ideally, that will be flexed into the floor in its neutral alignment, but it's so easy for that to get out of whack. So it's either hyperextended and lifted away, or the whole thing can be very flat on the floor right into the low back curve. So I'm looking for just a little touch, and I have just a slight lift today, but it's not too bad. From here, I travel down into my hips, and I'm looking for weight on the butt cheeks, ideally, but you might notice it's in the back of your pelvis or towards the tailbone. So again, we're looking for weight right in the butt cheeks. So the weight of the thoracics on the floor, you have a little space at the low back, and the butt cheeks on the floor will give you that neutral alignment that we're really trying to work towards so that we can work the core efficiently. From here, I travel down into the backs of the thighs, and ideally the back of the thighs are weighted to the floor, but you might notice that there's a little space. So just notice how you feel. From here, dividing the body in half, right and left, we're looking for the body to be even from side to side, but you might notice that one foot feels like it's reaching across the room. You might notice that your body weight feels tipped to one side, and so we know that that's a little miscommunication between the center of gravity in your pelvis and the nervous system. With all that in mind, I'm going to have you roll into a shoulder, come on up to sitting, and let's get on the roller. So we're going to start with the rebalance sequence, coming onto the roller. Let's see, that looks like a fairly good position. I feel like I could be a little closer to you. There we go. Okay. All right. So my my feet are about hip distance apart. My toes are pointing straight across the room. My palms, forearms, and elbows can be on the floor. I'm going to let the backs of my shoulders just drop back nice and heavy. My head is supported by the weight of the roller, and then come right into gentle rocking. We do this for about 30 to 60 seconds. We're just sending fluid in through the spinal column, giving your nervous system a chance to be comfortable on the roller. Of course, I'm using the half roller, so it doesn't move very much, and maybe in a way that's good. My head, my shoulders, my rib cage, my hips, my knees all work together. I'm going to come into the center, and I'm going to move from tuck to tilt to neutral. So I'm going to let my low back curve drop down onto the roller. The heel of the hand is low, the tips of the fingers are high. There's not any extra pressure in through the legs or the feet. And from here, I'm going to go ahead and arch my back. I'm in my tilt position, so low back just lifts away, brings the thoracic spine with it. And then I'm going to come back into my tuck. And I'm going to acknowledge that there's weight on the thoracic spine. And I'm going to let the low back curve lift away from the roller. It's a tiny move. And I personally feel like I'm still on the bone at the back of my pelvis. So I'm going to engage my core, put my hands down on the floor, and reset my pelvis. So it's just a little lift in the lower. And I get more of my tailbone to come onto the roller, a little bit bigger space, and through that low back curve, and the thoracic spine's weighted to the roller. The heel of the hand and the tips of the fingers should ideally feel a little bit level here. So I'm just going to go on and do a 3D breath. I won't do the 3D breath breakdown. I'm just going to bring my hands onto my belly. I'm going to inhale to prepare, exhale to engage my core, and make a noisy exhale. And I'm wanting to feel that corseting of the transverse abdominis. It brings my belly in, it creates a smaller waistline. I can even feel that tension in through the back. Inhale and exhale. I'm just waiting for that core to contract. Once I feel it, I can turn off my noisy exhale and take another breath or two and recruit those deep core stabilizers. And one more breath. And I want to get a sense of how that feels as I go into the single leg lift. The tips of the fingers are down on the floor, the backs of the shoulders are nice and heavy, the collarbone is wide, and I can feel that I'm in my most neutral. I'm going to take the left heel off the floor and get a sense that my right foot is nice and neutral. I can feel the big toe into the floor, the ball of the foot, the side of the foot, and the heel. I'm going to inhale to prepare, drop those shoulders back, exhale to engage. And I'm going to let the ankle articulate so that the ball of the foot comes off the floor. And you might notice that you're tipping to one side. You might notice your shoulders arch or your shoulders lift or your back will arch. And you want to just be mindful of how your body responds to this different way of stabilizing on the roller. Go ahead and lower that left foot down, and let's do the same thing on the right side. The heel's going to come up on the right, but I'm going to think about my left foot too, because that's where my base of support is coming from, one of the places of the base of support. Back of shoulders are heavy. Exhale to engage. And float the right ball of the foot away from the floor. Just notice how your body responds. Again, it might tip, might dig your fingers into the mat. Just notice how you feel. Go ahead and bring it down. So then from here, we put the hands onto the torso. So we're not using the hands now as one of those bases of support. And we'll move on to bringing the left heel off the floor, just as we did before. Inhale to prepare, exhale to engage. Nice and neutral through the body. That's key. And I'm going to float. Again, the half roller is such a great tool because I can stay here on the roller, not worry about falling off. I'll notice perhaps that I'm getting a little bit of tension in through the front of my thigh. Just notice what your body feels, and then I'm going to go ahead and bring it back down. Same thing on the right side. The heel's going to come up. I'm going to exhale to engage. Cinching in that waistline, letting the transverse abdominis contract. Nice and deep stabilization here. And I'm letting the ball of the foot on the right side come up. I'll notice more weight on my tailbone, and I'm going to go ahead and come back down. So I'm recruiting good timing of that deep core stabilizer, and I'm going to check on that by letting the back of the shoulders be nice and heavy. My tips of fingers come back down onto the floor. The arms are long, but there's no stress in the shoulder. The heel lifts over here on the left side. I'm going to exhale to engage and float. So just notice if it feels a little bit easier. So the tips of your fingers can be a little bit lighter on the floor. Again, the most important thing I think is to keep the thoracic spine weighted to the roller. Nice neutral curve through the low back. And you can do this without any compensation in the body. Go ahead and bring that left foot down. Same thing over on the right side. The heel is going to lift. Exhale to engage the core. So I'm setting up that stabilization before I take that right ball of foot away. And again, just noticing I feel nice and stable here this time. So while we're here, we've got this right foot off the floor. I want you to bring the right knee up towards the ceiling. So I think this is taught by bringing the leg into tabletop, but I think that puts a lot of stress on that hip flexor. So you are welcomed to just have that heel close to the hip. I'm going to go ahead and lift my right heel off the floor, and this is the double leg lift. If you're finding that you're arching your back I would recommend that you push the left ball of foot into the floor, and that helps to pull the ribs down into the roller, but keep the neutral curve through the low back. Back of shoulders are nice and heavy. I'm going to exhale to engage my core, and I'm going to float the left foot off the floor, and I can really feel that core. I can feel that belly pull in nice and tight, and I'm staying nice and neutral. Go ahead and bring the left foot down, the right foot down, and then do the same thing on the left side. So my left knee is going to come up to the ceiling. The heel is heavy towards the back of the thigh. The right heel lifts. I'm going to check on my shoulders. Let them be nice and heavy. There's often a pattern of compensation that your body might find. I'm going to go ahead and exhale. Go ahead and dig that right ball of foot into the floor. Inhale. Exhale. Let that bottom rib sink into the roller. And then go ahead and articulate through the right ankle. Inhale and stay. And as you exhale, I'm going to go ahead and put my right foot and left foot down. Let's do one more time on each side. So the knee's coming up on the right heel's heavy to the back of the thigh. I'm going to lift my left heel off the floor and push the ball of my foot into the floor so that it kind of hooks my body up into the roller. Check wherever you have a tendency to compensate. My shoulders keep rounding forward. Let it drop back. I'm checking on the thoracic spine. Inhale, exhale, gather those abdominals, feel that core sitting of the transversus. Float the left ball of the foot away. Inhale and stay. Exhale to slowly lower the left and the right. One more time here on the right side. The left knee is going to come up towards the ceiling. The right heel is going to lift. Push the right ball of the foot into the floor. Check your body's compensation. There go my shoulders again. I'm going to let that bottom rib stay nice and heavy at the thoracic spine. Inhale, exhale, gather the abs and float the foot. Okay, so that was the fourth one. So after you've done 4, I want you to take the right knee in towards the ceiling and then let both knees come in towards the body and towards the torso. And you're going to find the low back touches the roller. Back of shoulders are still nice and heavy. It's just the tips of my fingers that are into the floor. But frankly, if you needed to have the palms down, that would be fine too. So I'm going to slowly bring my knees away from my chest. And as I do that, the low back is just going to naturally pull up and away from the roller. Just make sure it's the low back all by itself and not that thoracic spine. So in this position, I'm going to hold it here for what we call the single leg tap down. Back of shoulders are heavy, thoracic spine's on the roller. I'm going to inhale, exhale to engage. There's that core. I'm going to hold that as I let my left foot slowly come down. I'm not going to touch the floor. I'm going to inhale and stay, and I'm going to exhale to engage my core and pull the knee back up. Inhale and stay, exhale, engage. Hold the core, let the right foot come down. Inhale and stay, exhale, and pull it right back up. One more time on each side. Back of shoulders are heavy. Check that thoracic spine. Exhale, and lower. Inhale and stay. Exhale, and pull it right back up. One more time on the right. Inhale, exhale, slowly lower. Inhale and stay. Exhale, bring it right back up. Let's do it one more time. It will be a 2-breath pattern here. So you'll exhale on the way down, inhale on the way up. Inhale, exhale, set the core, lower on the left. Inhale, come right back up. Same thing on the left, on the right side. Exhale, and lower. Inhale and bring it right back up. Exhale, lower. Inhale. Nice and neutral through the body. Collarbone is wide. Exhale. Last time to lift on the right. Both feet are going to come down onto the floor, and I always appreciate coming into a little gentle rocking. Feeling that the spine is touching the roller. But I also feel very organized as I go from side to side. I'm going to come back into the center and lengthen my left leg. My left hip and left shoulder are going to come off the roller. My right hand just pulls the roller to the side. And I'm going to come down onto the floor. Coming back into a rest assess. Palms are turned up towards the ceiling. And I'm just going to assess my alignment from here. My shoulders feel nice and heavy into the floor. The collarbone's really wide. If I take a finger, poke it into my belly button, I've maintained that nice neutral alignment through the thoracic spine. It feels very heavy, like it's dug a little hole into the floor, as a matter of fact. Nice neutral, hopefully through the low back curve. Ideally, the butt cheeks feel super heavy against the floor. And today, my back of thighs are nice and weighted, dividing the body in half, right and left. I feel very neutral from side to side. So from here, I'm just going to roll over into a shoulder, come on up to sitting, and let's see. Okay. All right, so what I love about those exercises is you can work the core without bringing your body into flexion. And for some of us that have kind of a flat upper back, it can be hard to get up into flexion, and we feel all this stress and tension in the neck, which is not really where you want to work, right? So we're trying to get into the deep core stabilizers. Those exercises are fantastic for helping you develop that deep core strength. If you're having some low back issues, this could be really helpful for you. If you're interested in just tightening up the core, cinching in your waistline, those are great, great exercises to learn. But the most important thing is to make sure that you're nice and neutral through the spine and there's no compensation. Back of shoulders are really heavy. The collarbone is wide. There's no elevation of the shoulders. You're not hyperextending. You're keeping the thoracic on the roller. Nice little sexy kitty lift through the low back curve. And you can feel the weight of the pelvis more towards the tailbone on the roller. Just keep that in mind as you go through the exercises. And I know that you'll love these. These are really good for you to know how to do.